People don't actually understand that you don't need to own 50 stocks to build serious wealth. Dev Kantesaria has $4.4 billion and 9 positions. Today, we'll find out what he owns and why. If you're new here, I'm the Bold Investor, and on this channel we look at elite investors. What they own, what changes are they making, and what we can learn from them. And Dev Kantesaria is one of the most interesting investors we have ever covered. His background is not what you would expect. Dev Kantesaria did not start on Wall Street. He went to Harvard Medical School. He is a trained medical doctor who never practiced medicine. Business was his real passion. In 2007, right before the financial crisis, he started Valley Forge Capital Management with $300,000 of his own money. Today, the fund manages $4.4 billion. Since 2007, Valley Forge has returned roughly 15% per year. The S&P 500 in the same period returned around 10.5%. That gap, compounded over 18 years, is the difference between good and exceptional. That is why he is on our elite investors group. Not because he's famous, but because his results over 18 years speak for themselves. So what does the portfolio look like right now? Well, let's go to stockinvesting.academy, go to Tools, choose Elite Investor Portfolios, and then Dev Kantesaria. So he owns 9 stocks, which are worth $4.4 billion. Last quarter, the portfolio grew by $254 million, and he received $5.3 million in dividends. If you look at the dividend chart, those payments have grown every single quarter for years. This is what owning great businesses looks like over time. Okay, let's go through every position in this portfolio and its history, because understanding his strategy is where the real lessons are. Let's start with Equifax Incorporated, a company that collects and sells credit reports and credit scores that tell lenders whether people are likely to repay loans. It makes up 0.7% of his portfolio. We see that the value of this position went down by $5.1 million, even though he added to it 1.6% last quarter. And the reason for this drop is, of course, a sharp decline in price. At the end of Q3 2025, the price was $256, and at the end of Q4, it was only $216. He bought his first shares in Q4 2024, so it is a fairly new investment without any meaningful movement when it comes to buying or selling. Also, the dividends are steadily growing over time, and last quarter he got $73,000 through dividends. Next up, we have MSCI Incorporated, which creates stock market indexes and investment research tools that help investors decide where to put their money. It makes up almost 0.8% of his portfolio, and he added to it 1.8% last quarter. This position is valued at $34.8 million. He received $109,000 in dividends, and the value of this investment went up by $990,000 last quarter. Also here, he bought his first shares in Q4 2024, but we see that he was probably a bit too early because he bought for $600 and just next quarter the price dropped to $565. At the end of Q4 2025, it was around $573. But since it is a fairly new position, there is not a lot to learn from it either, so let's move on. His 7th biggest position is ASML, which makes the ultra-advanced machines that produce the tiny chips inside smartphones and computers. Or actually, everything else nowadays. It makes up over 3% of his portfolio, is valued at around 135 million, and he received $238,000 in dividends. And the value of the investment went up by $13.4 million. And there are two reasons for that. Firstly, he added to it 0.5%, and secondly, the price jumped up substantially. He bought his first shares in Q2 2023 for around $724. The price fell down, but he did not panic, just waited. Then it went up all the way to $1,022 in Q2 2024 and dropped rapidly the next quarter. And after that drop, he more than doubled his investment. So we see that he is patient and calm. He does not sell when the price falls. He treats it as an opportunity for a better entry point. But such calm is only possible if you understand what you own and know that the fundamentals of this company are just as strong as they were when the price was high. Then we have Intuit, a company that sells software like TurboTax and QuickBooks that helps people file taxes and manage finances. It makes up 3.3% of his portfolio. It is valued at $146 million. He received dividends of $265,000, and the value of this investment went down by a massive $31 million. And the main reason for that is the fact that last quarter he sold 15.3% of it. And it is the only position that he reduced last quarter. In Q1 2019, he owned 94,000 shares of Intuit for around $261 per share. He was slowly adding to it, and only when the price jumped to $643, he sold some of his shares. But still a very small amount, so even at this price, he believed it was worth much more. In Q1 2023, when the price was around $444, he more than doubled his investment, and again, only after the price crossed the $600 mark, he started to trim this position. A beautiful long-term investment with a lot of conviction and contrarian thinking. But it is not hard to understand this conviction. If we go down here and click on Dashboard, we get all the most important data about this company. And we can see that also Terry Smith owns some shares of Intuit, and that it has an impressive and stable growth, 17% annually when it comes to revenue and free cash flow, and 28% when we look at earnings per share. Also, the graphs are beautifully going up all the time. But even the best businesses in the world have a price that's too high, and it seems that $600 is where Dev Kantesaria believes he should be selling. At number 5 we have Visa. It makes up 7.3% of his portfolio, and he added to it 0.5% last quarter. He also received a very nice dividend of $613,000. In Q1 2019, he owned almost 450,000 shares of Visa. The price was around $156 back then. He was slowly adding to this position until Q1 2021, when he doubled it. After that, we see some small movements, but nothing meaningful for many years. He is just holding the stock, and at the end of Q4 2025, the price reached $350. Also, during the entire time, he's collecting beautiful, growing dividends. A perfect example of a long-term investment in an exceptional company. His fourth biggest investment is Moody's Corporation, which grades the safety of investments by telling investors how likely companies and governments are to pay back their borrowed money. It makes up 15.25% of his portfolio. is valued at almost $673 million. He received $1.2 million in dividends, and the value of this investment went up by over $46 million last quarter. And he added to it only 0.2%, so it was mainly caused by the price gains. It is also one of the older investments for Dev Kantesaria. The price in Q1 2019 was only $181. At the end of last quarter, it was $510. And he is almost constantly adding to this investment. Only in Q4 2021, when the price peaked at $390, he sold some shares. But even then, it wasn't a huge move. I really love the consistency and calmness that just hits you from this portfolio. He has no problem being a contrarian. When the price dropped in 2022, he just kept on adding to it, treating it like a great opportunity, which it was. That is very impressive. The lowest step of the podium is occupied by Mastercard. It makes up 19.25%, is valued at $849 million, and Dev Kantesaria received $1.1 million in dividends last quarter. And the value of this investment went very slightly up by $4.5 million, thanks to the fact that he added 0.2% to this position, and also the price went up. This is another long-term investment. In Q1 2019, he owned just over 35,000 shares at a price of $235. And we can see that when the price dipped in Q3 2022, that was the time when, as a typical contrarian, he bought even more shares and owned well over 1.5 million shares. And since then, the price is just constantly going up. At the end of Q4 2025, it was at around $575. So it is another great investment created simply by buying fantastic company and holding it through thick and thin. We can also see the dividends nicely growing every year. That is very impressive. Then we have S&P Global, which grades investments to show how risky they are and tracks stock market performance through indexes like the S&P 500. It makes up 20.8% of his portfolio. He received $1.6 million in dividends last quarter, and he added 0.2% to this position. And we can see a very similar story here. He's adding to this investment whenever he has an opportunity. When the price jumps up like it did in Q4 2021, then he may trim it a bit, and when the price goes down, he will buy it back for less. And since 2019, when the price was at around $210, the stock has grown to well over $500 in Q4 2025. It is also worth pointing out that it wasn't a steady ride. 2022 and 2023 were not the best years for this company. But in the long term, the stock price reflects the strength of this company. Finally, at number 1, we have Fair Isaac Corporation, which creates the FICO credit score that most lenders use to decide whether to approve loans and at what interest rate. And before we will take a look at it, remember that if you would like to make a deep dive into the portfolios of other elite investors, or maybe check out over 300 company analysis and valuations, then go to stockinvesting.academy. It is the best place for simple, focused, and intelligent investing. Now let's get back to FICO. It makes up 29.5% of Dev Kantesaria's portfolio, valued at $1.3 billion. So it is a huge investment. And last quarter, the value of this position went up by over $150 million. That is impressive. Dev Kantesaria owned 333,000 shares in Q1 2019. The price was around $271 and it stayed like that for almost 4 years. And even though the price did not move, he made it a huge position, buying more shares at every opportunity. And then the price exploded. We can see that he was selling small chunks of it through the years, especially as the price was close to $2,000. But now that the price of FICO is closer to $1,700, he is just holding it, showing great conviction, especially as he does not get any dividends from this investment. So looking at Dev Kantesaria's portfolio, what becomes immediately clear is that this isn't a diversified portfolio in the traditional sense, and that's entirely by design. Over 82% of his holdings are concentrated in just two sectors: financial infrastructure and payment networks. He's focused on companies that collect fees on transactions they don't own. Companies that control essential data infrastructure and businesses with such high barriers to entry that competition is nearly impassable. His own words say it best. Getting worked up over whether a stock trades at 26 or 29 times earnings is far less important than making sure you own the right businesses. Now, is it risky? Absolutely. If regulations change, if fee caps are introduced, or if financial markets slow down, this entire portfolio moves together. But Kantesaria's conviction is clear. He believes these economic moats are so strong, these business models are so superior that concentration risk is worth it. He'd rather own a lot of something great than a little bit of everything average.